For more than 2 decades, Rachael Ray has been the warm, smiling face of American kitchens, cheerful, unstoppable, and always ready with one more recipe to brighten someone's day. But behind that familiar voice and famous grin lies a heartbreaking truth the public was never meant to see. In recent months, her health has taken a terrifying turn. One so serious that those closest to her say the woman who spent her life feeding others is now fighting for her own survival. And at the center of the storm stands her husband, John Cusimano, the man who has quietly begun preparing for the unthinkable. He has stayed by her side through disaster, loss, and national crises. But nothing has shaken him like this. Because before we understand the diagnosis that changed everything, we must return to the roots of the woman America fell in love with. Rachael Ray's story doesn't begin in front of a camera or inside a professional kitchen. It begins in a small town in upstate New York, inside a family where food wasn't just a necessity, but a language of love. Born in 1968 in Glens Falls and raised in Lake George, Rachael grew up in a house where Sicilian heritage shaped everything. Her mother, Elsa Scuderi, worked endless shifts running restaurants, and little Rachael spent her earliest memories tucked between prep counters, stacks of plates, and the smell of garlic sizzling in olive oil. Most children learn to walk on carpet. Rachael learned on kitchen tiles. She watched chefs shout orders, watched her mother command a kitchen like a general, watched customers light up when a dish changed their day. That was her education, raw, chaotic, and deeply human. But this childhood also taught her resilience. Her parents divorced early. Money was tight, and Rachael learned fast that life doesn't serve anything on a silver platter. You cook it yourself. While other kids dreamed of becoming celebrities, Rachael dreamed of being useful, of feeding people, of creating something simple that could make someone's life a little brighter. Years later, fans would call her authentic, relatable, the anti-celebrity. They never realized she wasn't trying to be down to earth. She was down to earth, shaped by real work, real kitchens, real hardships. And that authenticity would propel her into one of the most unexpected rises in modern television history. Rachael Ray never planned on becoming famous. Her life could have easily stayed ordinary. She worked retail at Macy's, stocked shelves, managed gourmet food sections, and hustled through New York City like every other young woman trying to survive. But Rachael had something no one else had, an unshakable belief that cooking didn't have to be complicated. When she moved back to Lake George, exhausted by the relentless pace of the city, she took a job at a gourmet market inside the Sagamore Resort. There, she noticed something that changed everything. People were afraid of their own kitchens. They bought pre-made meals, skipped fresh ingredients, and confessed that cooking felt intimidating. So she made it simple. She launched a tiny cooking class on a whim. 30-minute meals, no fancy techniques, no chef ego, just real food for real life. And people loved it. The local station WRGB invited her on air, expecting a quick segment, and got a phenomenon. Viewers connected instantly to her joy, her speed, her humor, and her "you can do this" attitude. She wasn't polished, she was alive. Food Network noticed. They called, and suddenly, the girl who grew up in the back of a restaurant became one of the most recognizable faces in America. Her show 30-Minute Meals ran for 27 seasons. Her talk show, The Rachael Ray Show, produced by Oprah herself, became a daytime juggernaut. She launched magazines, cookbooks, kitchenware, product lines, even a pet food brand, Nutrish, with profits donated to animal rescue efforts. Despite all this, Rachael always resisted the celebrity chef label. She couldn't stand elitism in cooking. To her, food was about connection, not prestige, and that humility made her beloved across generations. But fame came with storms. In 2020, a massive fire burned her home to the ground. Then the pandemic forced her to film her show from her kitchen, turning her into a symbol of resilience. Yet even then, Rachael kept smiling, insisting others had it worse. The world admired her strength, but inside, a hidden health battle was brewing, one that even she couldn't power through with optimism. And the first person to sense something was wrong was her husband, John Cusimano. While Rachael Ray became a household name, her husband, John Cusimano, chose to stay in the shadows, supporting her, protecting her, and loving her without needing the spotlight. A trained entertainment lawyer and the frontman of the rock band The Cringe, John was brilliant, creative, and fiercely private. He met Rachael in 2001, and the chemistry was instant. She famously said she thought he would never stop talking, and she loved it. They married in 2005 in an Italian castle, a ceremony straight out of a movie yet grounded in something beautifully simple, two people who genuinely liked each other. John appeared on her show often, not as a celebrity guest, but as a partner who mixed cocktails, shared stories, and brought a calming balance to Rachael's energetic presence. Their marriage wasn't glamorous. It was real. They faced rumors, tabloid nonsense, the fire that destroyed their home, and the emotional toll of Rachael's grueling schedule. Yet through everything, John remained her steady anchor. But nothing could prepare him for the most frightening chapter of their life together. The moment he realized Rachael was sick. Really sick. He noticed it before she did. The fatigue, the shortness of breath, the look in her eyes that said something was wrong. Rachael brushed it off. She always had work to do, people to help, recipes to film. John refused to accept that. He insisted on tests, appointments, answers, and the answers they received changed both of their lives forever, because the news wasn't just bad, it was devastating. The warning signs were small at first: aches, exhaustion, dizziness. Rachael Ray blamed stress, filming schedules, rebuilding after the fire. But her body was trying to tell her something, and John Cusimano was the only one who took those signs seriously. He pushed her gently but persistently to get medical attention. And when the results finally came back, the doctors' faces said everything. The exact diagnosis was kept private from the public, but those close to the family confirmed one thing. Rachael Ray was facing a life-threatening medical condition. Something serious. Something that could worsen without warning. Something that forced her to step back from the empire she'd spent 20 years building. The woman who always took care of everyone else suddenly needed someone to take care of her. John's entire world shifted. Friends say he began quietly preparing himself for the possibility of losing her. Not because he had given up, but because he was terrified of being blindsided by grief. He reorganized his work life. He canceled his band's commitments. He spent every moment he could at home. He cooked for her. He stayed up through the night watching her breathe. Rachael, ever the optimist, tried to hide her struggle. She didn't want fans to see her weak. She didn't want sympathy. She wanted to stay the cheerful cook America loved. But behind closed doors, the illness took its toll. Some days she couldn't stand in the kitchen long enough to film. Some days she couldn't speak without losing her breath. Some days John carried the weight of both of them. They retreated to their lake house, a place filled with quiet, trees, water, peace. It became their sanctuary, away from cameras and expectations. There, Rachael fought not just her illness, but her fear. John fought his helplessness. Their marriage deepened in ways neither expected, built on gentle moments instead of grand ones, shared meals, soft conversations, hands held tightly during long nights. John never stopped hoping, but he also never stopped preparing for the possibility that he might have to say goodbye. And that duality, hope and heartbreak, became the quiet truth of their lives. Because behind the bright smile America grew up with, Rachael Ray is fighting a battle she never asked for. And John Cusimano is fighting the one he feared most, a world without her in it. In the end, Rachael Ray's story is no longer just about food, fame, or the empire she built with her bare hands. It has become something far more intimate, something raw and achingly human. The woman who spent decades nourishing millions is now fighting to hold on to her own strength, her own breath, her own future, and beside her, unwavering through every sleepless night and every terrifying moment, stands John Cusimano, the man who once promised to love her in the quiet, in the chaos, in the years of celebration, and now in the shadow of uncertainty. John has become her guardian, her anchor, her witness. He has learned to smile for her when she cannot. He has learned to be strong when she feels weak. And deep inside, he carries the hardest truth of all. Loving someone sometimes means preparing to lose them, even as you pray with everything you have that you never will. Their lake house has become the backdrop of their most vulnerable chapter, a place where cameras are gone, expectations disappear, and only two souls remain, holding on to each other through fear, hope, and the fragile beauty of borrowed time. Rachael is still fighting. She is still showing up. She is still choosing life with the same fire that made America fall in love with her. But now, every day is a reminder of what truly matters. Not ratings, not recipes, not the applause of millions, but the quiet heartbeat of the person sitting beside you. And no matter where this journey leads, John Cusimano will walk it with her, step for step, breath for breath, until the story writes its final line.